In 1995, Arizona passed a law letting the state bill you $2,000 for your own rescue. People call it the stupid motorist law. Here is why it exists. More than half of everyone who drowns in an American flood is sitting in a car when it happens, not hiking, not swimming, driving home from work. Number 11 explains why a 5,000-pound truck floats like a beach ball. Number 3 is why the tool in your glove box will not save you. Hit subscribe. Let us count down. Number 15. Know what your vehicle actually is. You do not own an amphibious assault vehicle. You own a sealed metal box with a hole in the front of it. That hole is the AIR intake, and on most sedans it sits 18 to 24 inches off the pavement. On a lot of crossovers, the ones that look rugged in the commercial with the mud and the mountain and the guy in the flannel, it is lower than you think, because the marketing department and the engineering department do not talk to each other. Here is what happens when water reaches that hole. Your engine tries to compress a cylinder full of water. Water does not compress. Something has to give, and it is not the water. It is your connecting rod, which bends, punches through the block, and turns a $4,000 engine into scrap in roughly a quarter of a second. Mechanics call it hydrolock. Insurance adjusters call it Tuesday. But the engine dying is not what kills you. What kills you is that it dies in the middle of moving water with no power steering, no power brakes, and a 2-ton anchor around your body. You did not drive into a flood. You drove into a trap, and then the door locked behind you. So go look. Tonight, before any of this matters, get on your knees beside your own car and find the air intake. Find the bottom of your door seal. Measure it. That number is the only one in this video that belongs to you personally, and every rule after it is easier to follow when you know exactly how much water it takes to end your particular vehicle. Number 14. Learn your low spots before the water comes. Every driver in America has a commute they could run blindfolded. You know where the light takes forever. You know which lane clogs at 5:15. You know the pothole that has been there since the Obama administration. You do not know where the water goes. Water has a route, same as you do. It has been running that route since before the road existed, and the road did not change its mind. It just paved over it. That dip under the railroad bridge, the bend where the shoulder drops toward the creek, the stretch by the strip mall that still has a puddle 3 days after it rains, which is your road telling you politely that it sits low and would like you to notice. Drive your commute in daylight after a hard rain, not through anything. Just look. Find the 3 lowest points between your house and your job and write them on a piece of paper in the glove box. Then find one alternate route to each destination that does not cross a creek, does not dip under a bridge, and does not follow a drainage. This sounds like homework. It is homework. It is also the cheapest thing on this list because it costs you one Saturday morning and it works while you are panicking. Here is the ugly truth about flash floods. The National Weather Service can put a warning on your phone. They cannot tell you which streets to take. That decision gets made by a scared person at 11 at night with the wipers on high and a kid in the back seat asking what is happening. That person is you. Make the decision now while you are calm and dry and nothing is at stake, and hand it to your future self like a gift. Number 13. You cannot judge depth by looking, not ever. Water is a liar. In daylight, muddy floodwater has no bottom you can see. It is the same opaque brown at 4 inches as it is at 4 feet. No scale, no reference, no shadow, nothing your brain can use to build a guess. So your brain does what it always does when it lacks data. It makes something up and it makes it up optimistically because the alternative is turning around and being late. At night, it gets worse. Your headlights hit the surface at a shallow angle and bounce straight off. The water becomes a black mirror. It looks flat, it looks calm, it looks ankle deep, and it will look exactly that way at 6 feet. Most flood fatalities in this country happen at night. Not because the water is deeper after dark, because your only depth measuring instrument, your eyes, stops functioning after dark, and you keep driving anyway. One more thing nobody tells you: the water is not level. A flooded road has a current, and current means the surface tilts and piles. The 4 inches lapping at the near edge tells you nothing about the 4 feet in the middle, 30 yards out, where the pavement dropped away toward the culvert. So take this as an absolute. If you cannot see the painted line on the road under the water, you do not know how deep it is. If you cannot see the far side of the water, you do not know if there is a far side. You are not being careful. You are gambling with a hand you have not looked at. Number 12. 6 inches is where the car stops belonging to you. 6 inches, half a foot, the height of a soda can. At 6 inches of moving water, most passenger cars lose traction. Not stall, not float, lose grip. Your tires stop being wheels and start being paddles, and the vehicle begins moving sideways in a way you did not ask it to. Understand what is happening underneath you. Your tire holds the road because the weight of the car presses rubber into asphalt. Push water under that contact patch, and you have inserted a lubricant between the 2 surfaces. It is hydroplaning, except you are not doing 70 on the interstate. You are doing 8 on a residential street, and it is happening anyway because the water is doing the moving now instead of you. 6 inches will also stall a lot of vehicles outright. And 6 inches of fast water will knock a grown adult off their feet, which matters enormously in about 90 seconds when you consider getting out and walking. The reason 6 inches feels absurd is that it is genuinely absurd. It is a curb. You step over that much water on the way to the mailbox, but driving into it with a current behind it is enough to take a Camry into a ditch, and there is no moment where you feel it coming. There is only the moment where the steering wheel goes light in your hands and stops meaning anything. Every rule further down this list assumes you are already past 6 inches, which means every rule further down this list is a rule for people who have already made one mistake. Number 11. 12 inches floats it, 2 feet takes it away. This is the number that breaks people's brains, so slow down here. For every foot of water your car sits in, it loses roughly 1,500 pounds of effective weight. That is not a metaphor. That is Archimedes, and he has never once lost an argument. Your vehicle displaces water, the water pushes back, and the amount it pushes back with equals the weight of the water you shoved out of the way. So run the arithmetic. A 3,000-pound sedan in 12 inches of water is now, functionally, a 1,500-pound sedan. Half a car. The tires are barely touching. Your vehicle is no longer a vehicle. It is a boat, with terrible handling and no captain. At 2 feet, almost everything on an American road goes. Sedans, minivans, crossovers, most pickups, most SUVs. Researchers at the University of New South Wales ran actual vehicles into actual controlled floodwater with instrumentation, and the findings were brutal. Small cars became unstable well under 2 feet. Large 4-wheel drives, the ones people buy specifically because they believe this rule does not apply to them, went at depths that would not reach your knees. And here is the part that gets truck owners killed. Your F-250 weighs more, so it needs deeper water to float. Correct. It is also enormous, so it displaces vastly more water per inch. Also correct. Those 2 facts largely cancel out. Size cuts both ways, and physics does not care about your tow rating or the fact that you have done this before. 1,500 pounds per foot. Write it on your hand. First pattern break. Here is where this stops being about water. Nobody drives into a flood because they think the water is safe. Read that again. In interview after interview with people who survived it, the story is almost never, "I thought it was shallow." The story is, "I was almost home. I had done it before. The guy in front of me made it. My daughter was at the sitter." The killer is not ignorance. It is momentum. You have been driving 40 minutes. You are 2 blocks out. You have committed emotionally to arriving, and turning around means the last 40 minutes were wasted, and the next 40 are unknown, and there is a physical resistance in the human brain to reversing a decision you have already paid for. Economists call it sunk cost. Every driver in this country has felt it at a flooded crossing, and most of them had no name for it. They just knew going forward felt like progress, and going back felt like failure. So here is the reframe. Turning around is not losing. Turning around is the only move on the board with a 100% survival rate. The water does not know you are almost home. It has no idea you exist, and it will not adjust. Number 10. Moving water is a completely different animal. There are 2 kinds of water on a flooded road, and treating them the same is how people die. Standing water is a parking lot after a thunderstorm. Deep, annoying, ruinous to your carpet. It is a wallet problem. Moving water is a life problem. The force water exerts on a solid object does not go up with speed. It goes up with the square of speed. Double the current, quadruple the force. That is not a rule of thumb. That is the actual math. And it means the difference between a creek that is running and a creek that is charging is not a difference of degree. It is a difference of kind. 2 feet of standing water is a wet, expensive, survivable mess. 2 feet of water moving at 10 miles an hour is a wall pushing on the entire side of your vehicle with a force measured in thousands of pounds, applied continuously from a direction your car was never designed to resist. And you can read this without instruments. Look for debris going past, branches, trash cans, a mailbox, and time it against a fixed point. If a stick crosses your headlight beam faster than you could walk it, the water is moving fast enough to move you. If the surface has a ridged, standing texture instead of a smooth glide, it is running over obstacles and running hard. Firefighters have a phrase for this. Water always wins. They say it because they have watched it win repeatedly against equipment that cost more than your house. Number 9. The road may not be under there anymore. This is the one nobody thinks about, and it is the one that swallows people whole. You are not driving on water, you are driving on a road that happens to have water on it. Those are 2 different propositions, and the second one requires the road to still exist. Floodwater destroys roads from underneath. It scours out the fill beneath the asphalt, undermines the shoulder, blows out the culvert, and the pavement stays where it is, floating over a hole, looking completely normal, right up until 4,000 pounds rolls across it. Then the manhole covers. A cover weighs north of 100 pounds, which sounds like a lot until a flooded storm sewer builds pressure underneath it and pops it like a bottle cap. Now there is a 24-inch hole in your lane, invisible under the brown water, and the current running into it is strong enough to hold a person down. Add sinkholes over collapsed pipes. Add the fact that at night you cannot see the guardrail, which means you cannot see where the road ends and the creek begins. And people have driven straight off flooded bridges without ever knowing there was a bridge. Look at photographs from any serious flash flood, not the cars, not the houses, the roads. Pavement folded back like a torn page, 20-foot gaps where a 2-lane highway used to be, entire crossings erased. That damage did not appear after the water left. It was already there while the water was up, hidden, waiting. The water is not the hazard. The water is the blindfold. Number 8, never ever drive around a barricade. Somebody put that there. A human being drove out in the dark, in the rain, at the worst moment of their week, and physically placed that barricade across the road because their job is to know things about this road that you do not. They know the culvert failed here in 2019. They know the gauge upstream is reading 4 feet and climbing. They know a truck is already in the ditch a quarter mile ahead. You know none of that. You know the barricade is annoying and there is a gap on the left. Arizona got so tired of this that they made it a law. Arizona Revised Statutes 28910, passed in 1995, the one everybody calls the stupid motorist law. Drive around a barricade into a flooded road, need rescuing, and the state can hand you a bill for up to $2,000. Other states have looked hard at copying it, but the money is not the point. The point is the people who come get you. When your car dies in 4 feet of moving water, you have not created a problem for yourself. You have created one for a swift water rescue team, 6 to 8 people who now have to get into that same water in the dark with a rope and a boat because you were late. They will do it. That is the job, and they will not lecture you afterward. Firefighters have died doing exactly this, not in the flood, in the rescue. That barricade is not a suggestion or an inconvenience. It is a person who knows more than you telling you so in the only language a road has. Number 7, do not follow the vehicle ahead of you. He made it, so you can make it. No, start with the obvious. That truck rides higher, weighs more, has a taller intake, and possibly has 4-wheel drive that you do not. His success proves his vehicle crossed that water. It proves nothing about yours. But there is a subtler thing happening, and it is nasty. A vehicle moving through standing water pushes a bow wave in front and drags a trough behind. In the trough, immediately behind that truck, the water is momentarily lower, so you follow him in, and for the first 20 feet the water looks shallower than it did from the bank, and you think, good, I read it right. Then he pulls away. The trough collapses, the water comes back to its real level, and you are already in the middle. Worse, that truck has been shoving water sideways at speed, scouring the road surface and relocating whatever was holding the shoulder together. He did not clear a path. He degraded it and left. And the worst version, he is not through. He is 30 yards out and about to stall, and you are now behind him with water on both sides and no way to reverse in a current, and there are 2 cars in the flood instead of 1. Watching another driver cross is not data. It is a magic trick, and the whole point of a magic trick is that you cannot see what actually happened. Second pattern break. Here is what the numbers actually look like. Flooding kills somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 Americans in an average year. That number moves around. Some years it is dramatically worse, but it is consistently in the same range as lightning and heat and tornadoes. Now the part that should stop you. The National Weather Service has said for years that over half of those deaths happen in vehicles, which means flooding is not primarily a disaster that happens to houses. It is a disaster that happens to drivers. The house does not kill you. The commute kills you. The decision to try one more block kills you. And the campaign that finally started moving that number was not a billion-dollar infrastructure program. It was a slogan. In 2003, a Weather Service meteorologist in San Angelo, Texas, named Hector Guerrero, got tired of watching Texans drown in low water crossings and wrote 4 words: turn around. don't drown. That is it. That is the whole thing. It went on signs, it went on billboards, it went national, and it works because it fits in the 2 seconds you have while your headlights are on the water and your foot is still on the brake. The most effective flood safety intervention in modern American history is a rhyme, because the problem was never engineering, it was always the driver. Number 6, the underpass is a bathtub, the parking garage is a coffin. There are 2 structures in American life designed by people thinking about something other than water, and both of them fill up. Start with the underpass. It is a bowl. That is not an accident. That is the design. The road dips below the railroad or the interstate, and that dip is the lowest point for a quarter mile in every direction. The drainage pumps are supposed to handle it. The drainage pumps were sized for a storm from 1978. An underpass floods faster than anything else on your route, and it does it deceptively, because the approach looks fine. You come down the ramp, the water starts at your tires, and by the time you are at the bottom, it is at your windows, and you cannot back up because the ramp behind you is underwater too. People have drowned in underpasses in cities that were otherwise completely dry. The parking garage is worse because it feels like shelter. It has a roof. It is above the street. It is where your instincts tell you to put your car when the sky opens, and ground floor and subterranean levels fill like swimming pools in minutes. The whole structure funnels water inward and downward, and the ramp you drove in on is the exact path the water takes. Watch the footage from Houston during Harvey, or from any major urban flood in the last decade. Rows of vehicles underwater, all of them parked, all of them belonging to someone who believed they had done the responsible thing. If you are moving your car for a storm, move it up a hill, not into a building. Elevation is shelter. A roof is not. Number 5, if there is genuinely no alternative, here is how you do it. I want to be careful here, because I do not want anyone using this as permission. There is a scenario, rare but real, where the water is behind you and rising. There is no high ground, and the only route out crosses a stretch you can see across. That is not moving, and that is unambiguously shallow. Something has removed every other option. If that is you, and only if that is you, here is the technique. Get out first. Walk it if you can with someone holding you and feel the pavement with your feet. If you cannot walk it, you cannot drive it. That is not a saying. That is a rule. Drive the crown. American roads are built with a hump down the middle to shed water toward the gutters, which means the center line is the highest ground available. Take it, 1 vehicle at a time. 2 vehicles make 2 wakes, and the second one drowns. Low gear, steady throttle, no stopping, no shifting. You are pushing a small, consistent bow wave in front of you and keeping water out of your exhaust. If you lift off, the exhaust pressure drops and water comes in the tailpipe. Slow but never stop, and when you are through, do not just drive away. Your brakes are soaked, and they will not bite. Drag them lightly for a few hundred feet to heat them dry before you need them for real. Every line of that is a last resort. The correct answer, 99 times out of 100, is the U-turn. Number 4, roll your windows down before the water touches your tires. This is the rule that saves you, and almost nobody knows it. If you are about to enter water, or you have entered water and things are going wrong, roll every window down. Now, before the car floods, before anything happens. Windows down, roof open if you have one. Here is why. Every window in every car built in the last quarter century is electric, run by a motor and a switch and a wiring harness that live inside the door, which is the first part of the car that fills. They may keep working for a while after immersion. They may not. It depends on the car, the water, the connector, and luck. And you do not want to discover your answer was may not at the exact moment it becomes the only thing that matters. An open window is not a plan. It is a fact. It cannot short out. It is a hole in the car that already exists, and holes in the car are the entire objective of everything from here down. Yes, water comes in faster. Good. The car is going to fill regardless, and every second you spend delaying it is a second closer to the point where you cannot get out at all. There is no downside. If nothing happens, you get wet and feel silly. If something happens, you have already done the hardest step of your escape while you still had power, light, calm hands, and time. Hand on the switch, before the tires, every time. Third pattern brake, the thing under the seat that does not work. You bought the little hammer. It has a seatbelt cutter on it. It is in the glove box, and you feel prepared. Two problems. The first is location. In a car filling with water, the glove box is underwater, latched, and behind a passenger, and you are reaching for it in the dark, and you will not find it. Center console, same story. Your escape tool needs to be within arm's reach of your seated body, on a lanyard, on the visor, or in the driver's door pocket, or it is not an escape tool, it is decoration. The second problem is glass. For decades, side windows were tempered glass. Hit tempered glass in the corner with a point, and it detonates into 1,000 harmless pebbles. That is what the tool is for. Except manufacturers have been quietly switching to laminated side glass, the same layered stuff your windshield is made of for sound insulation and to keep people from being ejected. Laminated glass does not shatter, it cracks and holds because there is a plastic sheet in the middle of it. AAA tested a batch of escape tools against both types in 2019, and the finding was ugly. Against laminated glass, almost nothing worked. And you cannot tell by looking. There is a small marking in the corner of the glass. Go read it today. If your side glass is laminated, your window is not an exit, and Rule 2 changes shape entirely, and you need to know that now instead of then. Number 3, your door will not open. Stop trying. This is where people spend the last minute of their lives. Water outside your door, air inside. The water pushes in over the entire surface of the door with a pressure that climbs with depth, and the number is not close. A few feet of water outside, and you are pushing against hundreds of pounds, deeper, and it is well over 1,000. An Olympic weightlifter cannot open that door. You cannot open that door, and your husband in the passenger seat cannot open that door. There is a piece of advice that circulates. It is not wrong exactly, but it is lethal in practice. Wait for the cabin to fill, the pressure equalizes, then the door opens. Yes, technically, in a swimming pool with a stunt driver and scuba backup and a camera crew. In a creek at midnight, it means sitting submerged in the dark, holding your breath, waiting for a moment of equilibrium you have no way to identify, hoping the door is not jammed against a rock or the bank, while a 9-year-old in a booster seat behind you does the math on how long she can hold on. That is not a plan. That is a prayer with steps. Dr. Gordon Giesbrecht at the University of Manitoba has spent years putting vehicles into water on purpose and getting out of them, and his conclusion is flat. Forget the door. It is a trap, not because it never works, but because attempting it burns the only thing you have, the 30 to 60 seconds the car floats before it goes under. Do not touch the door handle. The window is the exit. The window was always the exit. Number 2, seatbelts, windows, out, children first. This is Giesbrecht's protocol, the closest thing to a survival algorithm that exists. 4 steps in order, and the order is not negotiable. Seatbelts, yours first. This is the part that feels wrong, and it is the part that saves everyone, because a parent's instinct is to turn and grab the kid, and a parent tangled in their own belt cannot lift anybody. Unbuckle yourself in the first 2 seconds. Windows, down if they still go down, broken if they do not, and you already know where your tool is. Not the windshield. Windshields are laminated and armored, and you will not get through one. Side glass. Out. Everybody through the window, not the door. Do not go back for your phone or your bag. Those things are gone. They were gone the moment the car went in. Children first, oldest to youngest. The older ones can hold the window frame and wait. The youngest goes last so you can carry them, because you cannot hand a toddler to a 9-year-old treading water in the dark. You have 30 to 60 seconds afloat. Some cars give you more. Do not plan on it. And once you are out, do not swim for the bank. 6 inches of moving water takes your legs, and 2 feet takes a car, which means the water you just escaped can still kill you. Get on the roof of your own vehicle. Get to something fixed. Go up, not across. Number 1, turn around. Don't drown. Everything above this line is a repair. This is the fix. 4 words. The most successful safety message this country has produced in 50 years, and it costs nothing. Here is why it is number 1 and not just a slogan. Every other rule requires you to be right about something: the depth, the current, the road under the water, your clearance, your glass, your reaction time in the dark with the water coming in. Everyone is a judgment call, and judgment is precisely the thing that stops working when you are wet and late and scared and 2 blocks from home. Turn around, don't drown, requires you to be right about nothing. It has no inputs. It does not care how deep it is. It does not care what kind of car you drive, or whether you have done it before, or whether the guy in the truck made it. You see water on the road, you stop, you turn around, you go the other way, and you are alive. Every single time. There is no version of this rule that fails. That is what makes it the only rule that matters. It is not the smartest rule. It is the dumbest one. Deliberately, aggressively dumb. Dumb enough to work at 11 at night when nothing else in your head is working. In the Texas Hill Country, rivers have come up more than 20 feet inside an hour. Not a day, an hour. There is no such thing as reading a situation that moves like that. There is only being somewhere else. The water is not testing you. It has no idea you are almost home, and it will not stop because it has all the time in the world, and you have about 60 seconds. Turn around. That is it. That is the whole list. Here is my challenge. Tonight, do 2 things. Find your AIR intake and know your number. Then check the corner of your side window and learn whether your glass is tempered or laminated, because that one marking decides whether Rule 2 works for you. Tell me in the comments what you found. I want to know how many of you are driving a car whose windows will not break. Because the water does not care what you meant to do. It only cares where you are.